你好，我的名字是 Megui. 我是美国人. I just greeted you in Mandarin. Several years I went to Zhongguó with Brooklyn College. I'm going to show you a wonder of the world, tell you about the things I did, and share some cultural differences. I was there for a month and I visited 7 cities. My favorites were Shanghai and Hong Kong. The very first place we visited, sleepy and jet-lagged, was the Great Wall of China. Being over 13,000 miles long, the wall conformed to the varying landscape. I didn't expect my visit to begin with a steep uphill climb, but the challenging part was that many of the stairs were damaged or uneven. Not so surprising considering that it was built over 500 years ago. I was ready to quit, but when I saw an elderly lady climbing up the steps on her hands and knees, I had to pull it together. Finally, I made it to the top, and I was rewarded with the most awesome view. Sadly, the pictures do not do it justice. Qin Shi Huang. He became king at the age of 13 and later emperor in the middle of the 2nd century BC. The Great Wall of China is credited to the Qin dynasty. He was known for unifying China. They had unified money, unified language, and unified measurements for the first time. The emperor believed that he was to rule in life and also in his afterlife. And in order to be prepared, he needed to have slaves and concubines and warriors buried with him. Could you imagine hearing a proclamation like that today? Back in 1974, some Chinese farmers were digging a well and they stumbled upon a life-size head made of clay. That led to the greatest archaeological find of the 20th century. It was the buried Terracotta Army, just a small portion of the Qin Necropolis, which included up to 21 square miles. Estimates suggest that the Terracotta Army had over 8,000 soldiers to defend the emperor in his afterlife, complete with chariots and horses. Even non-military figures were found in other pits, all hidden underground, never intended to be seen by the living. When I was in China, I studied the language. I had no idea that there were so many different languages. I learned a bit of Mandarin, which was adopted as the standard national language in the 1930s. Young people were always eager to practice their English with me, and they were impressed when I was able to respond in their native tongue. However, their English was better than my Mandarin every single time. Now that you've learned a little bit about Chinese history, I can tell you about the less noteworthy places that I visited, like the silk factory, where I saw how silk was made with real live silkworms, or Olympic Park, where the 2008 Olympics were held. Now, take note of these pictures. It was not a rainy day, it was not a cloudy day, it was not a foggy day, it was a smoggy day. The air pollution in Beijing is absolutely horrendous. I visited the Manmo Temple in Hong Kong, known for the literature god Mantai and the martial god Motai. I even learned calligraphy in Xi'an, but most importantly, I learned the Mandarin word for rose, and I adopted it as my name, Megui. Did you know that Jade was once thought to have magical powers? I even rode commuter trains and overnight trains when I was in China. I swear to you, they were so impressive. The people back in New York City have a lot of catching up to do. I went to the tippy top of the Oriental Pearl Tower and I fell in love with the city of Shanghai. I went to Disney and I rode just about every single ride. I went to a local zoo and got a chance to see the pandas, which are native to South China. I also learned about printing and saw how they carve characters into wood with their bare hands. One memorable day was spent in Shenzhen at Window of the World. This place had these amazing replicas of landmarks from all across the globe. I had some enjoyable meals while I was in China, but most traditional meals were not my cup of tea. One restaurant, I swear, they had dog on the menu. I didn't try it, but they had it. Our hotel breakfast buffets had items that I had never seen before and haven't seen since. While I was in Asia, I fell in love with sushi. I often went shopping for snacks at Walmart, and I was startled when I saw all the live animals they had for sale at Walmart. But these weren't pets. These were snacks for someone else. Now, believe it or not, there were a few things in China that seemed even more unusual to me. I remember my first day in Beijing being just taken aback by all of these children walking around with slits in the middle of their pants. I swear, all of their business was on display. Sometimes I would see them using the facilities at the side of the road with the help of their parents. It turns out that's just the way that they potty train their tots. And after a few days, I didn't even notice it anymore. I quickly learned that the Mandarin word Cèsuð means public toilet, and that is exactly what they look like in most public spaces. Thankfully, I didn't have to squat like that every morning. Our hotels, they all had Western toilets. In the hotel next door to mine, everyone got a call in the evening asking if they would enjoy some company for the evening. Unfortunately, many girls feel as if they're forced to turn to prostitution when they can't get into college. And some of them are even hopeful that they might get pregnant with the foreigner's baby so that they have hope for a better life. My time abroad was mixed. It wasn't always filled with fun or great learning opportunities. In China, I was able to see many things. But most importantly, I saw the world from a different vantage point. I truly began to understand the privileges that I have as an American. You know, if you are ever granted an opportunity to go someplace where the people don't look like you, where the people don't talk like you, where the people don't live like you, please do it. I promise you, you will not regret it. 谢谢你，再见。